Anyone who's been to Uganda will tell you that you can't avoid going to the city without bumping into street kids. There's children all over the streets of Kampala, and coming from Northern Ireland, it's strange because we have such a strong welfare service, and you kind of think, well, should these kids not be picked up by some sort of organisation to care for them? And when you're driving through the streets and maybe you stop at a traffic light and your window's down, and a small child of 7 or 8 years old comes to your window and puts their hand out and begs for 200 shillings, which is just a few pence, it just can break your heart just to think that this is the future that these kids have got. In Africa alone, there's estimated 32 million kids living on the streets, and many of these kids in East Africa and Uganda we were exposed to on various different team trips. And we really felt that we needed to do something for these kids that hadn't been reached, the ones that no organisation had managed to help. So we started a programme where we would meet with them on a weekly basis to get to know them, to understand their backgrounds. And many of the teams would come out to this programme and be involved with the programme. And one of the things that just really touches your heart was when you meet some of these kids and they would just be asking you, can we get education, can we get hope, and they would tell you their story, and they were used to go to school and they maybe got to P4 or P5, but then things happened in their home and for whatever reason they ended up on the streets. So in 2007 we built the New Life homes with a view to seeing if we could get some of these kids off the streets, seeing if we could get them into education, seeing if we could connect them back with their families. Originally we took 30 kids off the streets and put them in the New Life homes. They went to the school that was on the same site, and it's really amazing now to actually see some of those kids coming through secondary school. Some of them are sitting the equivalent of our A-levels. On a recent trip out to Uganda, we went to one of the secondary schools to visit some of the first boys we had taken into the homes. One of those boys was Fahad, and he called me over, and he calls you uncle, and he said, "Uncle, I remember seeing you on the streets when I was a street child, and I can remember how I pleaded for an education, and back then I could never have dreamed that today I'd be sitting my leaving exams in school." And he was just so thankful. He just wanted to thank Abana, he wanted to thank the people that had supported Abana, and it just really touched you emotionally just to know that this was the difference you were making in one, and not just one but many of the kids, but this is just one example of the difference that we can make in the lives of some of the kids in Africa, some of the street kids who literally had no future. Without the support, his future was drugs, his future was stealing, his future was dark, but with Abana and through the support we've got, he now has a new future. For me, the story of Abana and the success of Abana has not been down to the skills or the talent of one person or a small group of people. It's about many people making an impact, many people who are passionate about kids in Africa, sacrificing and giving from what they have to change the lives of children in Africa. And really, I suppose, for me, the testament is that if God can use a stumbling 19-year-old who doesn't have a clue about running an organisation, who wants to collect tin cans to raise money for building schools in Africa, who doesn't know how to manage an organisation and still manage to grow an organisation to impact so many thousands of children, well then God can use you. And I would just encourage everybody who is passionate about Africa, and even who are not passionate, just to get passionate, because we can make such a difference to many people like Fahad, many people like Catherine.
I thank God that Abana brought us from the streets, but Abana is doing a good work, because for me, I had a problem with my hip, and then they bought me a shoes which can help me. I was like this, but now I'm walking like a man, and I know that God will do great things, and I thank God for this Abana, because on the street no one could care about you. You could not think about studies. But now I'm seeing my future is opened and there is light.